the voicemail that ruined our alibi. They say the worst secrets aren't the ones you keep. They're the ones that keep you. Mine lived in a 40-second voicemail I was never meant to hear, a voice speaking my name like it was the answer to a puzzle, and hers like a debt coming due. The night it arrived, I learned what kind of man I was when the story changed mid-sentence. My name is Julian. I make bad news look survivable for a living, PR with a polite smile and a first aid kit for reputations. I can walk into a room full of smoke and convince everyone the fire is seasonal. That's how I met Eva. She was the chief producer at Channel 7, better at making truth look good than anyone I'd ever seen. We didn't fall in love. We slipped into it like a hotel robe, soft, inadvisable, and impossible not to notice in mirrors. Eva is married to a man people introduce with his job title. Victor Kulik, the banker turned fixer turned potential minister, depending on which dinner party you're at and whose phone is face down. He has the kind of voice that makes mayors nod. I met him twice, once at a gala where he shook my hand like it was a prop, and once in a hallway where he walked past me like I was. Every story needs a villain. Victor is too careful to audition. He hires villains. He buys endings. Eva and I found a rhythm in the margins. Wednesdays after editorial meetings, Sundays when he flew to Vienna for board obligations, the occasional Friday when the city made us brave. She'd arrive without her ring and leave with my hoodie, hair smelling like citrus and television lights. We had rules. No photos, no names in texts, never the same place twice in a row. There was tenderness and heat and the kind of careful that feels like a religion. We lied to the world by omission and to ourselves by calling it temporary. The voicemail showed up the night of the Kleiman Co. Foundation Gala, where champagne pretends to cure poverty. Victor chaired it. Channel 7 covered it. I was there to shepherd a tech client who donated servers and wanted the moral receipt. Eva breezed into the ballroom in navy silk that made the chandeliers look like they were trying too hard. She brushed my wrist as she passed, just enough to redraw my map. We practiced not knowing each other all evening and got away with it. Near midnight, the Foundation's director tapped a glass and thanked Victor for his unwavering integrity, a phrase that stretches differently depending on who wears it. I stepped into the corridor to breathe something that wasn't curated. My phone buzzed with a number that wasn't saved. I swiped, put it to my ear, and heard my own name spoken once softly by a stranger. Then, "I'm sorry, he knows. Room 417. If you want her to walk out alive, professionally, I need you to hear something first." The message ended, then replayed itself in my head with all the punctuation missing. I looked back at the ballroom. Victor was lifting a glass. Eva was listening like a woman timing her escape. I should have fetched her. I went upstairs. Room 417 smelled like flowers that had lost the argument. Inside stood a woman in a black suit with the kind of posture that comes from deciding not to apologize anymore. She was older than me by a decade and younger than the world by a century. She introduced herself as Oksana and held out a small recorder like a communion. "Listen," she said and pressed play. Eva's voice arrived first, low and tense. "Can't follow him tonight, Oksana. He's expecting it." Then a man's voice, not Victor's, lighter, confident, laced with flirtation he trusted to be welcome. "He doesn't expect you to bring a +1. Silence, a breath, Eva again softer. "Julian isn't part of this." The man laughed. "Everyone's part of something." Clip cut. Oksana watched my face the way surgeons watch monitors. "That was recorded yesterday," she said. "The man is Taras Bieletsky, communications chief for Minister Grechko, Victor's rival. Eva has been feeding him programming schedules and questions so he can prep his boss, and in exchange he promised to bury a story about Victor's offshore fund. Tonight Tara's plans to capture footage of Victor leaving the gala with a lobbyist he pretends not to know. Not illegal, just unflattering. The kind of thing that changes votes by a thumb's width. My tongue felt too large for my mouth. Why are you telling me? Why not leak it yourself? Because Victor already knows, she said, and he thinks Eva's lover is the courier. That would be you. The floor tilted. How? He had her followed 2 weeks ago, a bored driver and a long lens. He doesn't have the footage he wants, but he has enough to make a story that fits his hand. Oksana lifted a phone and showed me a photo. Me and Eva walking 10 paces apart down Sikhivska Street under the pretense of coincidence. A second image, my building. A third, my palm on the small of her back, too brief to deny if you know what to look for. Victor will not confront her. He will erase her, politely, efficiently, and make it look like a promotion to a bureau she can't find on a map. He will make you into a lesson. Who are you? I asked. The person who would prefer Victor owe me a favor tomorrow instead of ruining me tonight, she said. I need you to take something he wants to see. I need you to let him believe he's won. And I need you to keep Eva from becoming the price of my patience. She set the recorder on the table next to an envelope and a room key. There's an unedited feed of Victor's meeting with the lobbyist in 417B, the private dining room, at 11:45, she said. He told his people it was about regulations. It is not. The camera angle is unkind. Tara's planned to send it to me for leverage. I diverted it. You will take this envelope to Victor's security chief. He will take it to Victor. Victor will call off whatever he has planned for Eva because he'll be busy punishing the wrong enemy. It buys her time. It buys me a cleaner battlefield. What's in the envelope? I asked. Nothing, she said. Paper, a realistic weight, it's theater. The real file is on this. She tapped the recorder. And this stays with me. You're the delivery mechanism, not the bomb. I picked up the envelope. It felt like confession. Why me? Because you will do it, Oksana said simply. Because you love her. Because you think the word strategy is a synonym for savior on nights when the music is too loud. I should have asked who Oksana worked for. I should have asked if she liked herself. Instead, I asked, and if he opens it. He won't, she said. Men like Victor don't open envelopes in public. They open people. 10 minutes later, I found Victor's security chief by the service bar, a square of a man with a face that had never once been surprised. I told him I had something for Victor that couldn't wait. He looked at my tie, my shoes, the way a professional scans a scene for exits. I gave him the envelope. He gave me nothing in return, not even disdain. Back in the ballroom, the string quartet had learned how to be louder without seeming to. Eva threaded through donors with a pen and a half-smile that belonged to no one. When our eyes met, her mouth trembled, then rearranged itself into a question I couldn't answer. Victor took the envelope without looking at me. He slid it into his jacket and whispered something to the chairwoman that made her throw her head back and laugh like all this was philanthropy. I should have left. Instead, I followed the current to the mezzanine where the view of the city made everyone forgiving. Eva found me there. We didn't touch. The light pretended to be kind. What did you do? She asked. Brought him a placebo, I said. Bought you a few hours. Her throat moved. Julian. Don't lie, I said gently. Not to me. She closed her eyes, then opened them like it hurt less than keeping them shut. I tried to sand the edges off a knife, she said. It's still cut. I'm sorry I put you near it. We put each other near it, I said. How do we walk away? She glanced toward the balcony where Victor held court, a son pretending to be a man. We don't, she said. Not yet, we walk through. At 11:43, Victor excused himself. At 11:45, he entered 417B. At 11:51, the lobbyist left with a smile that said she'd gotten what she came for and a text that said she hadn't. At 11:56, Oksana texted me a single word: done. I was halfway relieved when I got the call that was supposed to break me. Victor's voice cut through like a shipping lane. "Mr. Markov," he said, granting me a surname, "you have something of mine." "I just delivered it," I said. He chuckled pleasant. "You delivered an empty envelope. Creative, come downstairs, alone." He met me in a small lounge off the kitchen where glasses go to become clean again. Two men with polite suits stood at his shoulders, the kind who could rearrange a face without sweating. Victor sat, crossed his legs, and regarded me as if I were a rumor in need of editing. "You're sleeping with my wife," he said in the tone one uses to announce a taxi's arrival. "I'm in love with Eva," I said, because if I was going to bleed, I'd at least choose the color. He studied me for a long beat. "Do you think that changes the geometry?" "I think it clarifies the math," I said. "It tells you I won't run." He smiled without heat. "You hurt me tonight," he said. "You and your friends." He tapped his jacket where the envelope made a small hill. "You made me look in a mirror at an angle I did not choose. In my world, that demands payment." "I didn't leak anything," I said. "No," he said. "You simply prevented me from leaking what I wanted when I wanted about whom I wanted. That is a kind of theft." He leaned in. "Here is what will happen. Eva will resign. She will say her mother is ill. She will be given a stipend and a glowing letter. You will accept a contract from me, 3 months at twice your rate to consult on philanthropy. You will meet me twice in public and we will be seen shaking hands. You will never speak to Eva again." I laughed then, not because it was funny, but because sometimes you need to hear a sound that belongs to you. "No," I said. The room cooled. There's a quiet you only hear before a door slams. Victor didn't move. He let the word sit between us until it became its own furniture. "You misunderstand," he said softly. "I'm not negotiating." "Neither am I said. "If she leaves, it will be because she chooses herself, not because your men changed my mind about Bones. If I take a contract, it will not be to launder your narrative. And if you touch me, the footage you're worried about meets the light." His eyes sharpened. "You don't have it." "You're right," I said, "but the person who does believes she's bulletproof." He laughed, delighted for a half-second, then waved his men away like gnats. "You're naive," he said. "It's almost charming." "I'm bored of charming," I said. "Try scared." He stood. Our shoulders were close enough to learn each other's temperatures. "You are not important enough to break," he said, "but you are exactly right for bending." He left with the envelope still unopened. I sat down because my knees remembered to be honest. My phone buzzed. "Oksana again. He will blink tomorrow. Get her out tonight." I ran, to the extent one can run in a tuxedo. Eva met me by the coat check, already in her street shoes, ring in her palm like a punctuation mark waiting for a sentence. We didn't speak in the elevator. In the hotel's side alley, the night touched us like a conspirator. "Where?" she asked. "My place," I said. "Then not my place. Anywhere his people can't pretend to be the weather." We didn't undress each other. We undressed the moment, buttons, zipper, breath. We were careful in the way people are when they know the room is watching. I kissed the place where her jaw meets her ear and felt the tremor that tells you a body is insisting on honesty. Her palms against my chest were not a plea, they were a claim. We kept it YouTube safe and heart dangerous. It wasn't about spectacle. It was about proof that we were still made of heat. After we lay in the living room with the lights off, the city making constellations across the ceiling. She whispered the things people only say at altitudes, that she'd sent a resignation drafted like a dare, that she had a savings account Victor didn't know about, that she was tired of her own cleverness. I told her about Oksana, about the voicemail, about the envelope that held air and yet weighed the night. In the morning, Eva left with a bag, my hoodie, and a jaw that had decided. She kissed me once in the doorway like a signature. "I will not be erased," she said, "even if I have to write myself back in with a broken pen." Victor did blink. The network announced a strategic realignment 2 days later, and Eva's email went quiet without going away. Oksana sent me a link to a story in a foreign paper about a lobbyist's curious travel dates, the kind of piece that nudges a career without detonating it. My client's servers cured nothing but processed 1 million petitions for better. The city kept pretending to get better at pretending. The voicemail still lives on my phone, archived under a contact I named Weather. I don't listen to it. I don't delete it. It's my alibi and my indictment. If you need a clean ending, I can't sell you one. Eva found a job at a smaller station where the light is less expensive and the truth has fewer filters. We see each other where windows fog on purpose. We are cautious, and then we're not. Sometimes she wakes from a dream where all the microphones are on and none of them belong to her. I make tea and tell her we can learn a new language that doesn't use words like leverage and optics. Some nights I almost believe myself. The worst secrets are the ones that keep you. Mine keeps me honest. It reminds me that love isn't a PR problem and courage isn't a press release. And when the phone lights up with a number I don't know, I let it ring once longer than I should, just to prove I can, and then I pick up, because I am done letting other people narrate my life in rooms where I'm only a rumor.